What's up, landlords? Renee here. I'm just going to do a little bit of a live stream before I do my landlording live. That happens every Sunday evening inside our school. And today I got another Reddit post that I was going to talk about and share this with you guys. So I just went on here and I was like, oh, what can I talk about today? And what can we kind of like learn from to help landlords? Well, somebody in Chicago's saying basically they finally got somebody out and I think they owe them $15,000 and they're asking if, yeah, 15,000 unpaid rent. And they're asking if it's worth going after them, you know, and trying to get feedback. And people, most everybody's saying go after them. And then some people are talking about doing this 1099 thing, which is like, if you get a judgment on them and you, instead of going the garnish wages route, because with some of these tenants, they're low income people, they bounce around job to job to job, and it's like really difficult to kind of garnish wages. So this person was saying you can write off the losses on a 1099 and put in the tenant's information, and then they actually have to claim that as income, and the landlord doesn't get a write-off on it, but at some point you can just say, hey, I'm cutting my losses, and it's a last-ditch effort to try to get back at the tenant because maybe they're wanting to get a return, and this is a way for you to kind of go after them. This person's saying, oh, it's diabolical to do the 1099 move, ha ha ha. And people are asking about taxes, and nobody's saying anything about a lawyer with this. My first inclination or first gut feeling would be obviously to get a attorney, but a real estate specific attorney, one that deals with this kind of stuff on a regular basis, because you can mess up the paperwork or do anything wrong, one simple mistake, and it screws you. And why would you not just pay a professional to do this? And so that's my 2 cents when it comes to this specific thing. But then there's a question here, which is my style and why I think I avoid some of this stuff. Somebody down here is like, would it make sense to rent to more mainly pricier homes with people that have jobs, you know, like a nurse, an engineer or something that has a higher income? They're more easily able to like get their wages garnished because they probably have a career or profession. And this is actually what I do. I try to go after the B class single family homes and have them be as nice as I can get them. I try to get the one stories in nice communities because a one story is typically a little bit cheaper. They're easier to deal with from my perspective, less plumbing on the second floor coming down, and you can walk around and inspect the roof, and you can get an attic and stuff pretty easy. I try to avoid townhomes, 2-story properties and stuff like that, but it will take me longer to get a more ideal property because I'm looking for them and it's going to cost more and everything. And I'm in this for the long run. I'm not trying to, get, any deal anywhere, no matter where it's at, as long as it's like really depreciate or really somebody's like got to get out of it, some uncomfortable situation where they're like, hey, I'll do creative finances or this or that, because then you're kind of going after the deal and you're not even necessarily worried about the property. You'll look at the property, and if it's like, oh, the numbers work, I'll buy it. And for me, I'm more picky than that. I kind of pinpoint accuracy, like go on Google Earth, and I zoom in on properties, and I select like corner lots. I make sure there's no through traffic. I make sure there's no fast like highways nearby, no pools, and then I put pins. I could maybe show you guys one day how I do it, like laser accuracy. And I'm like, all right, this house, that house, and I'm gonna do a handwritten letter to them specifically, and I'll be monitoring them on my Zillow. I'll put like lassos around communities and stuff, and I kind of track homes and areas, and that's just my style because I want the most highly sought after asset in a community that would make it really easy to attract good tenants, and it's easier for me to manage. That's just my style. And when this person asks that, like just common sense, like, hey, wouldn't it be better just to avoid all these like tenants that have nothing to lose and they just stop paying, and then it's hard to chase them down and can't garnish their wages? They have nothing to lose and they just go try to scam out another landlord, and you just, the best thing you could do is do the 1099 and write off the losses to try to mess up their tax return or something. Like, So for me, I would rather just kind of avoid this by trying to get like a higher, like a better clientele. And I learned this lesson in the military because I was military police in the Air Force, and on base when we pulled over people, it would be spouses or active duty people, and they got careers, they got stuff to lose, and they don't want to get in trouble with their chain of command and stuff. They're very, polite. We had calls where we would respond to like a domestic, or maybe there might be a DUI or some situation like really petty crime. But right off base, because I was stationed in Montgomery, Alabama, there'd be shootouts and stuff. And we even had annex housing off base before I got stationed there. And one of the cops got killed by a crackhead that jumped the wall. And they actually moved all the military people out of that annexed housing because it was away from the base. And it was getting broken into a lot. And for me, I realized, wow, we trained with the Montgomery Police Department, and they dealt with like the horrible, like the scum of the earth criminals and everything. They have nothing to lose. And we dealt with, nice military people. And the speed limit on base is like 25 miles an hour. I think maybe it's the fastest around like River Road or something. And you pull over somebody for going like 3 miles over the speed limit, or driving and talking on a cell phone. I mean, so that was my first experience of like, selecting your clientele. The job is the same: police, military police, and civilian police. We wrote the same tickets that we both had to go to court at the same court, and there's points on the license and everything. But our clientele was a lot better. But there was something else that I wanted to share with you guys about this. Was the change of address thing. Sometimes people will say, I can't go after them because I don't know their address. One, I would say you want to, this is my example website that I help landlords with. I gave them like 3 different versions of a website. Just say, hey, all mom and pop landlords should have their own website. And let me go back. Is it? No, it wasn't that. Then here's an example of a lease. And inside the lease, you want to make sure you're always collecting the emergency contact information. Right here. Oh, no, that's for emergencies. Did I pass it up? Maybe it's on the next page. Emergencies, risk in life or limb, call 911. Yeah, because I put in my business hours, and I don't text tenants and stuff. So I set the communication standards here. But maybe it's the next. Maybe it's the next page. Here, reporting and requesting repairs. Not that. That's not it. Okay, right here. Finally. Emergency contact information. When you're on good terms with brand new tenants, you want to make sure in your lease you're collecting emergency contact. And if they stop paying rent, you could reach out to the emergency contact. Or let's say it's a situation where now you're trying to garnish wages or serve them paperwork and stuff, and you're trying to get their new address. You could call up. You have to do this quickly. Call up the emergency contact and say, hey, I'm trying to get a hold of them. They didn't give me their new address, and I want to send them back some of their security deposit, and I just want to make sure I got their address. And like, you got to be a little crafty, careful with your words, because you don't want to be like, hey, they didn't pay anything, and these bastards stole all this and destroyed all this, and like now I need to go serve them some paperwork and send them to court. If they're emergency contact a friend, they'll probably be like, oh, I don't know who they are. But if you make it seem like you're a concerned property manager, and we want to return their security deposit, and we just need their forwarding address, they didn't give it to us, and kind of go out at that route, maybe you might be able to get it. But another thing you could do, I wanted to share, was, let me also point out before I do that. In your website, in your FAQs, you should have something here like change of address. Like I have a bunch of FAQs, and change of address. You want to help your tenants out when they first get there, and you tell them, hey, in my move-in process, I have a what do I call it? Unit access tutorial, where I send them videos how to use the e-lock, how to use the security alarm, how to change the code if they want to, garage code, all this stuff. And it also says, friendly reminder to change your address or forward your address to the new place. And I can kind of cite back to the FAQs here, because you want them to know about forwarding addresses with the USPS, because when they move out there, and if they know about it, they will likely do it. And if they have one on file, where was it at? Oh man, I'm scrolled away. I had it sitting here waiting to talk about it. What was it? I think it was an important note. Yeah. No, it was just note. So the standard mail forwarding is 12 months, and you can extend it to 6, 12, 18. But it does say after this extended period, if you mail something to them, it will get returned. You got to put their name and your the rental address, and it'll get returned to you with their new address. Or if you're getting with a lawyer or something, they probably know about this next one. Yeah, so this is where it's saying it will be returned to sender with a label of the new address. Anyways, this is where I was ultimately going to get at. If you want, you can actually get with the USPS and request their forwarding address. So there's stipulations here, how to request it, who to do it, and you got to do it in person, everything. And here's the form. And you basically are, for legal purposes, trying to serve one individual, and you're trying to get their address. Let me go back and start my Zoom, make sure, see if anybody's going to jump on here. And I'm going to end the live stream. If somebody jumps on.
Recording in progress.
All right. If somebody jumps on here, I will get off. And I'll continue the landlording live with whoever's in the school community. And if not, I'll just stay here for a little bit more time with you guys and talk about my next video, what I'm doing. I'm helping the landlords out in the pro course. I talk about the LLC structure I have. I just use 3 LLCs, the holding company, the management company, and the consulting company. I talk about password management and setting up your business email and stuff like that. And I talk, I share the Zoho Vault, and I talk about how you can do the tokens and your two-factor authentication. I explain why it's not good to use text, and I show a better way, which is the tokens, and you can embed that into your Zoho Vault's password keeper thing. And I show them how to set it up and add members and the naming convention. And the next thing I was going to do is I was going to show them. I'm going to show them some advanced stuff. I'm going to show them the YubiKey, the security key. A lot of times people don't know what these are. This is like expert cybersecurity measures and stuff. I kind of learned some of this from the military, OPSEC, Operations Security, and just all around, just like being careful, trying not to give the tenants your information, trying not to tell the tenants you are the landlord, you are a property manager, and you got to create this plain vanilla business advantage, which means you need a business, name, logo, business email, business address, business phone number with a professional voicemail. And I help in this course, the Landlord Pro course, to help everybody set this up where they look like a legitimate property management business, but really it's just a solo landlord. And then you get all these advantages, just being a property manager, doing your job and everything. And there's so much more to that, but I just want to give a little rundown. The YubiKeys are really awesome. They work with all kinds of stuff. You can search it up, see who they work with, but it's a super secure way of logging in that nobody's going to steal your identity. And in that course, I was talking about do not use the password browser extensions where you type in a password and your computer's like, hey, do you want us to remember this password? No, never do that. I have articles and stuff, and I spent hours reading into it, why they're vulnerable and how people breached it. Recently, it was a big breach, and a whole entire company went down, and they had to intervene, but they had a huge IT section, so they were able to kind of recover. But their employees were using these password extensions. And they did like a trick where they were like, hey, you got to do an update or something, click here, and it looked all the same, and you accidentally gave them access to everything. So this is what YubiKey, I'll explain how you could buy these things. You can send it to yourself. Also, I'm going to share my screen on my phone to show you how to test it, make sure it's genuine. And then I'm going to talk about these recovery ID tags that you can use, which is awesome. I've been using them for a while. You peel this label off, you create an account. The account's free, and if anybody ever loses this, it talks about there's a reward. If found, go to this website and type in the key, and you actually can do a DM, a direct message, like communication back and forth. And I did an experiment with this. I bought like 4 of them, like I want to say like 5 years ago, and I had them for a few years, and I'm like, you know what? Let me just pretend that I lost one. So I don't recommend doing this because now the key is in my account and I can't remove it. I was like, crap. So now I had to relabel it test, and it's there with a red flag that it was a message, it was lost and then found. But I experimented with myself a few years later and said, I went with an incognito browser and said, hey, typed in the code and said, I found your keys. And then at my email, I got an email from these people here, and it said, your item was found, and click this button to reply. So I responded back to myself and I said, oh, I don't need those keys anymore. You can trash them. Thanks. And then I ended the chat. Then this recovery ID thing has a gimmick of like, if lost or if found, you get a reward if you return it. Well, I was thinking that, oh, it's up to me to pay this. But they have it all set up and all their fine print and everything. It's like, look, we're not requiring you to pay the reward, and we don't think it's right for people to try to withhold this for rewards stuff, but we will give you a reward. And I'm like, what? So after I did this exchange, they emailed me and I say, hey, for doing this, we're going to give you a reward of like 15% off of these tags. So they're basically just like using it as a marketing thing. It's kind of smart. But for me, if it was something really important, I would say, hey, yeah, that's great. And they give you some fine print about helping you try to recover them. Say, hey, go to a public place, don't be alone. So I kind of like it. It's just an extra fail safe. We had rings of security and stuff, and you want to make yourself a hard target. So if you think of concentric circles or expanding out circles, and you just think, okay, this is another tool on the tool belt is what people would say. But another thing I was going to share, make sure nobody's on here, was these cool, like, I don't know if you call them, like, for short, like EMF bags or something, or electro device anti-tracking EMP shield. Basically, it's like a bag with aluminum inside, and this top just kind of rolls out, and you can slip whatever you want into it. I got it right here. So I bought everything, and I'm going to show them in the class how to use them, because I got all this stuff for my own personal stuff. So inside here, what I do things in twos, so I double it up. I get the small one. You can put your cell phone in here because your phones never go off nowadays, and they're always tracking and always listening and everything. So you can put your phone in here, or any of your electronics or whatever. Like if you have a YubiKey and stuff like that, you put it in here, because like if there's some kind of like EMP or something, or some kind of electromagnetic like shock or whatever, if it's in something like this and then pushed in this, and it's like stored in a safe, it hopefully will work. Or if you're worried about being tracked or whatever, you can put your phone in here. So I don't know if people know about these things, so that's why I got them. And then I was gonna show this. Oh, these are those recovery tags. I was gonna show them and how to set up the account. I was gonna show them the YubiKey, and then how this other cool thing that I don't know if people know about is this crypto people know about these like cryo storage, that whatever they call them, and you can stamp in your passwords and codes, your seed phrases and stuff in this. And the reason why I would suggest this to the landlords, this is the advanced security measures, is because you have a password vault where you're storing all your passwords. And if you ever lose that master password or master phrase or whatever, then you can never get into any of your passwords for your business, which the way I have it set up, like I had a dangerous job in Iraq, and I always thought like, hey, if I die and get taken out of the equation, I need my wife to be able to operate the business with one email and go into our vault and be able to get all our passwords. So I was setting everything up to be ran from one email. So I had to think this way that most people don't think, but the unintended consequence of that was having a rental business that's really efficient and seamless and simple to run and everything. That I remember the same thing happened to me when I got solar panels on the house. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna save all this money and everything, and the first order consequences of is like lower utility bills, and then you'll actually get a return on your investment after so many years. But the second order consequences that I didn't really think of was, hey, once you have solar panels on your house, you actually start kind of paying attention a little bit more to your electricity usage. You're looking at the charts, you're turning lights off, you're setting up the lights to automatically come on and go off and stuff, because you start getting into it a little bit more. So that's why I'm sharing some of this stuff, to be like, hey, if you know about it, you get into it and it can help you. But whenever you do that stamp, that metal cold storage thing, it comes with this book, and they give you these codes, and this is some cryptic code formula that's a known formula. I think it's called BIP 39 word list, and it's codes. So like if one of your words is I don't know, north is 1203, and you can use this bird is 0181, and on your thing, all you're doing is stamping. I'll show you it now, but basically it's just going to be little X's to spell out a word, and it comes with this little stamp, and you could just stamp into it instead of putting the X. You just use this guy right here and just use a hammer. Somebody's calling. So, I think that's it. I'm probably going to get off of here. Just give me a second. Let me look at this. Where? Should have just put this on Do Not Disturb, but anyways, if any... Oh, accident call. It was my wife, and I was like, oh, just better check on that just to make sure. Anyways, I'm just sloppily kind of like sharing and talking. I got a script, and I'm going to try to edit the video in the school and make it short and compact, and try to not waste anybody's time, and be like, hey, here's some advanced security measures, and do my whole spiel like kind of like this a little bit, but I'll chop it up and kind of make it like a short video so it's easier to watch, and I'll have links and everything. And that's what I do with the other stuff inside the community. I teach them how to get what I do. All this is what I do, so you can take it with a grain of salt, copy me, or do something different. I show them how I get the domains, how I name the companies, because I use the same name for the holding company, the management company, and consulting company. So you streamline the whole entire business. So you use one business line, and you say the one name of the company, and you say, I'm sorry, you can use the automated robot voice. You can type it in and it'll say your voicemail, or you can use Fiverr and get some professional or your wife or somebody to say hey, this company name is not available, please leave a voicemail at the beep. And that's what I do. So I use the same number for all my businesses, and I never pick up the phone because most of it's spam. And if it's something legitimate, they're going to leave a voicemail. I'll look at the voicemail, and according to my lease, the primary means of communication is email, and I will respond. Hey, we got your voicemail. Here's some links to try to get them to solve stuff on their own, because I'm not trying to do lots of work, or according to the lease this. And I don't ever want to be, linked up or connected directly to the tenants, to where whenever they have a thought or an idea or a question, they just automatically text me. And then you get in these conversations, and you're trying to be polite and stuff back and forth with them, and you're skirting this professional and yet friendly, it's hard relationship. But I remember in the military, when I had my peers, we were all the same rank, I got promoted early twice. So it happened to me twice. And I remember the first time I didn't really care. I was still hanging out with them. But the next time when I became an NCO, I kind of couldn't hang out with the people before. So the best way to kind of separate the professionalism kind of thing. It's just distance, and not just always be readily available. You have something to do. Oh, I'm sorry, passing by, short interactions and stuff. And with the tenants, I kind of like to keep it really professional. And email gives me time to digest what I want to say, type it out, proofread it. And then it's a form, it's a record, and it's and in the lease I say we use email as a primary means of communication because it serves as a record for both you and us. And the secret strategy behind this is I'm trying to cash flow forever, or I call myself the landlord or forever landlord. So I want to do this forever. So I have to figure out ways to work smarter, not harder. So I try to mimic, what's already out there that's working is like self-checkout, or you try to get support with Google, and they'll just be like, go to the forums and find your own answers and stuff. So I have FAQs, I have how-to videos. I'm trying to give resources to kind of help the tenants out. A lot of tenants will end up buying their own houses. So if I'm giving them videos showing them how to reset a GFCI outlet, that's normal everyday household issues. You vacuum in and it trips. Oh, you go to the breaker. Or do you know about the GFCI? So what if you have a kid and the kid pushed the button and clicked it? Like, that's stuff they should know. They should know how to change filters and test smoke detectors and turn off water valves and gas valves and all this other stuff. That's regular household things. I'm not getting the tenants to perform electrical work. I'm just getting them to do like regular stuff. So, and I carry home warranties. So I'm like, hey, if something breaks, don't contact me. Go to the home warranty. I'd be sleeping in Iraq. I wake up and I look at my email and I see the tenants requested a home warranty. And I did a whole experiment, like hiring a bunch of different home warranty companies before I found the one. And then once I found my preferred one, I have to kind of learn their style and kind of adapt some stuff. But anyways, I wake up and I see that they just have handled stuff. They hired a technician and they scheduled it, and they paid the service fee because all this is in the lease. And in Florida, I'm allowed to do this stuff, and I check with my real estate specific attorney. And inside school, I have a video showing how to find a dedicated specific real estate attorney. You don't want a jack of all trades real estate attorney. And it's just like a whole bunch of good stuff in the school. And I'm getting off here. That's been my 15 minutes. Nobody showed up, so I just end the calls. And if you guys want to jump into these calls, join the school, and I'll see you inside. All right, see you. Bye.